Hello students, welcome in my YouTube channel J.N.ACADEMY of Science, and today we are discussing about standard number 10 and chapter number 3, metals and non-metals. So we are aware of that, what is metal and non-metals, just refreshing some points related to metals and non-metals. So any element can be divided in two parts mainly, and that is metals and non-metals on the basis of their properties, or say chemical structures, or say physical property. Mainly there are two properties, physical properties and chemical properties. So first of all, you have question that what is metal and what is non-metal. So basically metals are good conductors, and they are good conductors of heat and electricity, whereas in non-metals we can say that they are conductors of poor electricity and heat. So this is the main point of our lecture, metal and non-metal. So another thing is metal have high density. Basically density is nothing but mass upon volume. So metals have high density because its mass is very high. So basically we can say that. And non-metals have low density. Another point, in metal they have high melting and boiling points, and that we see already. Examples of metals: iron, copper, aluminum, magnesium. There are several examples of metal. Similarly, for non-metals they have low melting points. They have low melting points and boiling points, and these are the examples: carbon, rubber, oxygen, sulfur, iodine, hydrogen, etc. Mainly all gases, they are included in non-metals. So now from your textbook I am taking conclusion of activities. So from activity number 3.1, from this activity we can say that metals in their pure set having shining surface. So mainly this is the basic characteristics of metal, and when we are rubbing them with sandpaper, then we realize this property, and this property is called metallic luster. So this is the main property of metal. Then the second activity, 3.2, metals are generally hard. So we experience it also, and the hardness varies from metal to metal. So there are the hardness strength is different from different metals. And when we take small pieces of metal and try to cut sharp knife, then we realize the hardness of metal. So how it is strong, that we realize by cut by the sharp knife. Then from activity number 3.3, some metals can be beaten into thin sheets. So this property is called malleability. So some metals can be converted into thin sheets, and this property can be called malleability. Then from activity number 3.4, the ability of metal to be drawn into wires. Okay, so when we strip them, then we realize it will convert into thin wires, and the property is known as ductility. So these are the main properties. Then due to malleability and ductility, the metal can be given different shapes and for our needs. So according to our needs, we have different types of metals. Then from activity number 3.5, so this activity shows that metals are good conductors. Okay, some basic experience or say experiment this shows that metals are good conductors and heat conductors and have high melting points. Then the question arises here: do metals also conduct electricity? So this is main question for us. So look at activity number 3.6 in your textbook. So here battery connected by the clips, switch and bulbs, and put metals like iron, copper, nickel between these clips A and B. So what we realize, if electricity transmission is possible, then we can say that it is nothing but conductor. So if we are putting metals like iron, copper, nickel between the clips, then the transition of electricity is possible. So that's why we can say that it is conductor. But if we are putting rubber, plastic between the clips A and B, then transition of electricity is not possible. So we can say that it is not a conductor. So it is nothing but insulator, one type of insulator, or say some another elements. Then we are talking about non-metals. So there are mainly non-metals in two forms, solids and gases. So except bromine, it is in liquid form. So basically in metals, solid they are mainly in solid form, but except mercury, it is liquid. So these are the exceptions for non-metals and metals. Then the another things from activity number 3.7, identification of metallic and non-metallic behavior. So these are the main topics related to our chapter number. So first thing is, all metal except mercury exist as solid at room temperature. So the required condition is we are focusing on room temperature here. Metals have high melting points, but gallium and cesium have very low melting points. So these are some specification points that we know, and we have to know that. So the second point is iodine. So non-metal, but it is lustrous. Then the third point is carbon. Non-metal can exist in different forms, because we already know the fundamental, the base for the earth is nothing but carbon. So there are so many forms of carbons. So basically non-metals can exist in different forms. Each form is called an allotrope. So there are so many allotropes of carbon. For example, diamond is an allotrope of carbon, because diamond is very hard. So it is hardest element from the group of carbon. Now another allotrope of carbon is graphite. So we already know graphite is very good conductor. If we are putting here between clips A and B, then we realize that the transmission of electricity is possible. So we can say that from this experiment, the the graphite is very good conductor. So this is how we can represent graphite as good conductor. Fourth point is, alkali metals, lithium, sodium, potassium are so soft. So we can cut by knife, and we have very low densities. So low density means that mass is very less, or say volume is very high. So that is how we can represent. Mainly elements can be classified into metals and non-metals by checking their chemical properties. So if we know the chemical properties of metal and non-metal, so we can easily classify the elements into metals and non-metals. So this is how the basic things which is related to this chapter represent like this. So if you like this video, then please share it, subscribe it and like it, and this type of video will come soon. Thanks.